Alright, so we're just gonna get started here. First, I'm just gonna do a little introduction. So, this is the first community meeting we've had in a while, I'd say. I think the last one we did was in December. But, so the purpose of this meeting is just to, brief up on everything that hasn't been in announcements lately, which is a lot of stuff because I really don't like pinging people. So I usually just throw all the information into Mafia Roleplay or the more exclusive announcement channels that not everybody has access to. So I'm gonna just go down the list of topics I'm gonna be getting to today. We're gonna do anything recent in terms of server development, any new ideas, changes that have been brought forth, the scheduling that we'll be doing for beta, public release dates, Department of Justice positions, government positions, positions, and any other positions that need filling on the server. Factions, and then we'll do a Q&A, and then we'll throw in anything else that we think of along the way. Not many staff members are here today because, these meetings don't really require staff. This is mainly just for you guys, the community, to be here for. So yeah. Before I get started, I'm just going to go over a few things. Any questions that you want answered during the Q&A session, feel free to post in the question and answer section on the Discord. If you post anything unrelated, then we'll have to dish out some punishment and delete your message. So please keep it serious in that area. We'll do a few Q&A sessions throughout the meeting. We're not just going to do one big one, just in case somebody's question sparks some kind of interest. If you guys want to watch on YouTube, you can do that. It's being updated with current topics and things like that. So if you want to check that out, the link is in the announcements channel. Another topic we'll be going over for this meeting is other things we plan to do in terms of the community in general after Mafia RP and things going forth with Mafia RP. So before I get started, let's give a nice welcome to Bade, because he'll be keeping most of you in line tonight. I don't know where he went, but alright, rip. Whatever. Okay, so first, I'll get into our first topic, which will be recent server developments. Now, over the months, a lot of new suggestions have taken place, like how we're going to go about the economy and the government's economy and things like that. We've kind of concrete and cemented the idea of just having a very, as realistic as humanly possible economy to the time era, which is 55. So we're doing a lot to ensure that the economy doesn't see overinflation, be it that first few days people have hundreds of thousands of dollars and things like that, to keep the economy as realistic as we possibly can. Obviously, we're not going to get too realistic to the point where there's cents and currency, because that's too much of a handful. But just to put this into perspective, like on previous servers, $100 was like pocket change, whereas on this server it's actually quite valuable. And on a different, better scale, like guns only cost like $200. But to make them not so easy to obtain, we put measures in place, like you have to pass an exam in order to get them on the server, and you have to pay quite a fee to obtain an actual license. So yeah, in terms of server development, a lot has been thought of recently as to just new ideas that weren't previously installed. Let me get my list out here. It's we're adding in a food vending system for businesses that center around like restaurants and things like of that sort, bars. So just keep that in mind. The way that'll work is food vending is when you purchase a property, you'll be able to spawn in a food vendor, and sorry. It's a little box entity that when you spawn it in, if you're the owner of the property or you're in the faction that owns the property, you can press E on it. And along with that, sorry about that. Give me a sec. And along with that, that'll come with being able to just purchase drinks, food, all of that just from that box, as opposed to running from NPCs, since we discarded the whole business system. Obviously, you can only access these boxes and or food vendors on the actual premises that you own or have a share in. So that's how that will work. This will all be spawnable from the notepad that you will have. And yeah. Okay. Moving on. As for the gun license system, I kind of just briefly skimmed over that a few minutes ago, but the way that'll work is in order to obtain a gun license, and keep in mind gun licenses, throwback to other meetings when we've discussed this, are crucial to being able to purchase weapons and obtain weapons legally. That means you need a license in order to purchase a weapon from, let's say, the ammunition shops. And of course, if you're carrying a weapon and the law finds out, if you don't have a license on you, you kind of get screwed. So, yeah. In addition to that system that's already been fleshed out for months, we've added in a test where you have to fill out a very elaborate and realistic questionnaire, and you need it to be 100% right. And when you do that, then when you pass it, then you can purchase the gun license. If you fail it, then you're put on a long cooldown, which is unavailable. All right. Moving on to other things, I'm going to briefly touch over the government aspect of the server again, because I think a lot of people don't really know about it too much, even though it's been explained 3,000 times. But so there are three main branches of government. There's the executive, judicial, and the legislative. I mean, if you've ever seen the Schoolhouse Rock video in 7th grade, then I think you know that. But we've kind of expanded on that on a more smaller and local area. And some people may think this is like overkill or too much for like a server of this size, but it's actually going to add a lot of crucial RP to the server that's been depreciated on several others. And the way this will work is it establishes a very in-depth and elaborate and organized judiciary system that will process all cases that are brought forth to them. This has two court systems, the lower end and the higher end. The lower ones are presided over by the lower ones are presided over by judges who are appointed by the mayor or brought forth by city council members by put up to a vote, but we'll get to the city council later. And justices are only allowed to be put forth by a mayor with a extreme majority approval by the council. Justices who preside over the higher courts review very high-end cases, important cases, and things like that. In order to become any of those positions, be it a judge or a justice, you need to pass the bar exam. But that's tied into the what the district attorney sets. And the district attorney is a position that is put into place by the mayor, but that ties in with the executive. So we'll move on to the legislative first. The city council is it's not a bicameral legislator. It's not like the House of Representatives and the Senate. It's just one legislative deliberative body. And the way they work is every week, holders of these council seats are able to be contested at City Hall. There'll be a Google form that you can choose a seat, like the 7th District of Brooklyn or something like that, and you can choose to contest that seat and put that seat to election. And when that happens, the seat can be contested. If you win the election, then you get the seat, or vice versa. So, and then city councilors serve basically kind of as any kind of legislator. They are allowed to propose bills, attend session, chair committees, things like that. And although it may sound complex from a more smaller level, like in actuality, it's a fairly simple system once you get the hang of it. And it's all just to establish order and keep the government interesting. Right, because on every other server that we've observed, when the government is so small and insignificant and basic and bare bones, it really just doesn't really help anything, and it just serves as kind of a pillar for, hey, we have a government system. When in actuality, it's kind of just a flimsy, put-together mayor system where you have a mayor who has absolute authority, like a unitary executive type deal. So that's how that works. And so that's the legislative body and the judiciary body. Now the central one, the executive, is the mayor. There's elections every few weeks. It might be every month. We haven't really decided on that yet. But the mayor has, it's a mayor. They can appoint positions like the Housing and Urban Development Secretary, Police Commissioner, district attorney. All these people have very vital and important jobs to the functioning of the server. The district attorney is the one that administers bar exams, which is crucial to becoming a lawyer, and presides over the Department of Justice, which can provide defense attorneys and other things. The Housing and Urban Development Secretary kind of heads that department, which deals with managing property and judging and assessing who is active for certain properties to regulate that some, like, let's say there's an apartment building and 3 out of 6 of the tenants in it are never on the server. Well, it's that department's job to make sure and, find out what properties on the maps are depreciated and things like that, so they can be repossessed and put up for sale again. They also have a whole other realm of responsibilities, but I thought that was the most important one of covering since it's been quite a frequently asked question. Other departments, the police, I don't think that needs really any covering, but I guess one of the departments, I guess about police is how you get into it. We will be doing a whole process of accepting people that want to be that position right off the bat to prevent, I don't know, like there being no police when the server launches. But so we'll be looking into that for sure. Whereas if you want to become a police officer, let's say when the server's been up for a while, that's definitely a possibility. You can still do that. All you'd have to do is go to the police station, complete a quiz, and then you'll be contacted after that whether you've passed or failed, as it's not really automated. And when you're contacted, and if you are approved, then you are approved for training, and you can be trained to be a police officer. And then after that, you rise through the hierarchy of the police department. But if you have any questions on that, I'm not the one to, talk to about that. That would be the people that head those departments, which are the server manager, Tom, and I think somebody else, but I can't really remember who. But yeah. Okay, so that's the whole government system and all that. And along with the content that will be supported by this, there will be a whole realm of police content, quizzes and assessments for things like the bar exam and entrance exam. There will be, for the legislative system, there'll be a lot of stuff to help that function well, and as well as the judiciary system, there will be some content there for them. But the most crucial thing is the government bank, which will be a fund that the government can add or contribute to. And that basically, everything in that fund pays government employees like police and supports other kind of government programs and whatever they set up, really. Alright, so government and police has been covered. Move on to automated rackets. So the way that all the crime groups on the server will work is that they will be supported by their own rackets that they choose to set up that are predominantly done and carried out through RP or general server features. And then they're guaranteed, if they're official, one automated racket. Now this can be a drug system, this can be gambling, this could be something involving the stock market, a job, etc., etc., etc. So there's a whole realm of opportunity there. And usually these rackets aren't just completely autonomous. You need to confer with other factions to get them working properly. And I'm going to move on to something else, which is the stock market. I haven't really spoke about it much in any other meetings, but the stock market will be kind of a new thing, whereas on the other servers, it has been kind of like a completely automated, absolutely no realism to it system that the stocks rise and fall and rise and fall, and it's really just your assessment as to when to sell the shares that you pre-bought. The way it'll work now is there will still be a hint of completely autonomy and automation for it, but there will also be a hint of actual RP incorporated into it, whereas businesses can apply to be on the stock market, and they will be put on, and all the shares that are purchased will go directly to their pocket, as they would, and pretty much your stock is assessed and set by the admin team. So let's say you run a shipping company. Well, you could be doing what you're supposed to do perfectly, and your stock should be good, but it's really assessed on the quality of RP and the quality of your faction overall. So keep that in mind. If you want to get into the business side of RP on the server. Moving on to... I think we've covered most of that before. I think we've covered a lot of the server features already. So I'm going to move on to a different topic. We can come back to server development dependent on questions that we will receive later. But I think we'll move on to one of the more, interesting topics, which is the beta schedule. Alright, so the beta schedule. It was kind of set in stone a few months ago, but that really wasn't met just because of my own incompetence in terms of scheduling. And to keep in mind, that was the reason for a lot of setbacks in our intended release dates, just because I'm like, oh, I'll be able to, get a lot done and probably release by this time, but that time comes and nowhere near that. So just keep in mind about that. But as of recent, I've been fairly free in terms of, time. So I've been getting a lot done, and hopefully all of this done in a fairly short window of time. So beta schedule is we hope to release the closed full beta test sometime soon. And I don't mean soon TM, I mean like hopefully sometime this week or next weekend. It was the full release was supposed to be this weekend, but due to a bunch of complications with a whole host of factors throughout this week, we were completely unable to reach that just because I was so distracted by all of it. But yeah, so that date wasn't really able to be met. But for next weekend, there will be either something, be it a beta test, like the full beta test with all the content, or a release. But we'll make official announcements about that when the time comes, because nothing is set in stone. But just know that a lot of development is being worked on today. I've been getting so much done just today and these past couple days, so it is definitely feasible this time around. And I know to take that with a grain of salt considering my record on that, but that's up to your own interpretation. Of more fermented and like thought out and set in stone beta schedule will be released fairly soon. As for that, I think that whole little block kind of covered the beta and public release schedules. But for the beta schedule, that will be released in the beta section. So anybody here with a beta pass, you'll be able to view that when it is released in those set channels. Now we're gonna move on to some of the positions that do need filling on the actual servers. So first, we're gonna start out with the Department of Justice. Now, there is no real head of this department as of yet. So take this with a grain of salt. But, alright, so the DA, which will be appointed, I'd say sometime soon, will, be able to appoint people in that department, which could be state attorneys, which will be able to, represent people if they don't really have a private lawyer. So there's that, and there's a plethora of other things as well. That other positions in the Department of Justice. So yeah, the more information will come out about that as well. 1 second. Alright. So I'll just encompass everything, all the positions that really need filling. There will be a lot of government positions that need filling. There are a few seats on the council that are vacant as of now, as well as a lot of police administration jobs and just police jobs in general that will need filling soon. As for factions, due to the just fluctuations of interest in terms of factions of the ones that we've accepted over the year, there are some spots still open for different categories. So if you guys want to apply for factions, be it a company, be it a crime family, be it a miscellaneous, other ethnic group, you're more than welcome to do that. Faction applications are still open. Just go to the apply section and hit .apply. However, we are still being very scrutinous in our assessments of your applications. So, yeah, put effort into them. So that's factions and general server positions. We'll break over to our Q&A session. Just give me a second. We'll work our way from the top here. Okay. If you have any other questions, just paste them while we're going through it now. Never too late. Okay, our first question is the screenshot submission contest still happening? Yes, it is. You're still welcome to submit screenshots, even if you don't really want a beta pass, because, we're happy to have screenshots to use for our loading screens and other sorts of things. The hold up with the previous one was a lot of that we didn't announce any winners because of the people that won the contest were people that were staff, support, or had a beta pass. All the ones that else submitted we didn't really view as winners, so we didn't really announce that because it would kind of be redundant. But yes, it is still happening. We'll probably make the channel viewable again if it isn't already. I don't really know. And yeah. Okay. Moving on to question number 2, submitted by Hendrix. This question is there going to be a trailer released on YouTube for the server? Don't really know right now. We really wanted to do one, but it's unsure right now. But I'd love to, but it's not really 100% on that. So yeah. Next, question number 3, submitted by God, is: will businesses still be given some sort of additional income based on the RP quality as originally planned? Yes, businesses, be it a restaurant or like a stock firm or whatever the hell you are, will be given money and like guaranteed money based on RP and quality of business. Brandon's question is: will the stock market system stay the same or has it changed? I covered that a little while ago about that, so if you want that said again, just go back on the footage that will be released after. Okay, big question submitted by Woof. We haven't had many meetings, much development, log updates, or much talked about how Nitoria is going, and as beta, there hasn't been much activity on it. And I know that you are busy with the weekdays and you only have breaks to do during your work time to this community, but are you planning to add something else during all this time, or does it stay the same during times? I don't really get your question. Are you asking me for like a briefing, or are you asking something about my schedule? If you could clarify in meeting text or question and answer, that'd be appreciated, because I don't really get it. We'll come back to that though. Next question is submitted by Angry Sad Man. Will there be a max to how many people can use a job, like at the docks or moving boxes? Basically, what would be the max amount of people per job? It's usually capped. I think I set the job at the port to 10, and there's limits based on each individual task that will be implemented. Thanks for your question. Will there be a donation system that will benefit the player? I mean, I don't really get how a donation system couldn't benefit the player, but the donation system that we have in mind that will be implemented is key goal is at fairness, whereas just because one person donates doesn't disbenefit a average player significantly. The donation system gives small improvements to the quality of a donator's time, and the pricing's pretty fair. It's only $10 forever. Then there's the prime rank, which is still to speculation, which is not really set in stone yet. But yeah, premium is $10 forever, and you get things like discounts on vehicles, discounts on other kinds of items, and then there's a bunch of fishing benefit. There's a lot of different perks that comes with it, and I think the pricing's pretty good. So there's a whole list of features that will be released sometime soon or closer to release. Next question submitted by Chris Poppy is: how many slots will the server have? We're thinking 70 right now is the number. Next question submitted by Turkman. is my question is about the size of the police station. Nearly every map is extremely small and not big enough. Will we have various offices for various captains, detective squad rooms, question marks, interrogation room, break rooms, front desk? I think everything you questioned is in there. There is let me give you the rundown. There's the lobby with the, windows with the holes in them, and then there's the break room behind that. There's a bunch of empty rooms you can use for whatever the hell you want. There's an armory, there's a coroner's office, there's evidence storage, a garage, then floor 2 is criminal processing with two interrogation rooms, a massive evidence locker, 2 massive holding cells. Floor 3 is police department administration. It has a massive meeting room, a briefing room, and then I'd say 10 offices that can be filled for any rank. And then there's the prison downstairs, which is massive. Yes, the prison, or the police department is very massive in size and pretty much meets everything you questioned. Next question submitted by Johnny Salami. Will there be an actual release date for the server, or will it be constantly delayed with no fixed date? Yeah, there'll be a release date sometime soon, just because of the amount that I've been able to get done, as opposed to recently, or as opposed to historically, I should say. So yes, there will be a release date released very shortly. That will be definitive this time. Next question, submitted by Stevie Gonzalez. Many factions that were planned to be in Nitoria have fallen into obscurity. This has been in Dividend for so long, so in families. The starter cash given to these factions was meant to start their faction run-up. How will you deal with the areas that are now unowned and unclaimed cash? Any factions that have dropped out of wanting to, be on the server, their territory has been forfeited, as well as the money that we intended to give to them. But in fact, areas of the map don't need to be claimed. It'll be fine if they aren't. Next question submitted by Hendrix. Do judges have backgrounds as lawyer? Probably yes. Of course, it is up to the discretion of the people that appoint them, which could be users. So, Next question submitted by Johnny Salami. Are you the only one actively working on the server? If so, why don't you have others help work on the server? Because I just don't like employing people. I have this particular vision for I am the only one working on the server. Ultra does pitch in a lot to our weapon system and small things, but that's really the bulk of what he does. And since that whole system's done, I've been the only one working on it. It's just because I don't really, don't trust developers, don't want to have a team. It's a lot better if, it's kind of a pain in the neck to have multiple developers. The next question submitted by Steve Gonzalez. How will you stop blatant abuse to the point of fail RP of these jobs, like if a judge sentences somebody to prison for jaywalking, abuse in general, and police job? The abuse and corruption, which is the word you're looking for, is allowed to a certain extent at a certain level. But if you want more on that, I could follow you up on that some other time. But so the way it works is low-end cop positions, you can be corrupt to an extent, like not just killing people blatantly, but taking bribes, looking the other way, things like that. But it's not allowed to the point where you're just killing people execution style in the street or sentencing people to death for coughing on an officer. Next question, Michael Fabrizio Marcino. Is the money making gonna use the run system or what? Money making, there's no run system. All the automated forms of making money at a civilian level are extremely in-depth and labor-intensive and realistic. Nothing like runnings. Angry Sad Man asks, will there be a bank robberies, and if so, what would be the punishment of getting caught? There is no automated bank robbery system. That is for events. But there's no automated systems supporting that. And punishments for getting caught would be up to the discretion of the admin administering the event. Next question asked by Callaway is weird. Are there going to be wandering NSPs like you said in previous meetings? Yes. Next question asked by God. Who approves companies wishing to be registered on the stock market? That's admin discretion. Probably upper administration, but it could also be regular admins depending on how that goes when it's done in development. Next question asked by Angry Sad Man. Could you give an estimate about how much I complete in the server, like percentage? I can't really know. Next question asked by PhD Burnett. But I just mean the map. Is it going to be big enough to this? Yes, the map has been optimized greatly throughout its development by me. I've added several safeguards to prevent just excessive lag like we've seen historically on other Mafia RP servers. So it should be able to run sufficiently for lower end computers, because during beta testing a lot of people didn't have beefy PCs were able to run it sufficiently. And I mean by sufficiently over 30 FPS in the large areas, and a solid 50s in interiors. And this is low end computers, so that is very good. As for high end computers, like 120 in interiors, 60 in the cities. So pretty good. Next question asked by Winberg. Will you have a FBI or DEA? If yes, the action. No, we will not. Everything will be established on a local level through the police department. FBIs will be added in through events that so require them, but there's no set in stone for them. Next question, PhD Burnett. Oh, sorry, we already did that, kind of. Sorry about that. Next question, Woof. Are you going to open council / higher up applications for RP or no? Any government positions are either appointed by pre-existing government members or elections. Next question asked by Hendrix. With there being no form website, a possible RP idea has died. A newspaper on the forums that can have all the news and reasons adding to RP. Although there is no form, how could there be a newspaper RP? If you need to elaborate, just unmute. There is already a built-in newspaper system wherein people that are employed by the New York Times, which is a job, it is a premium only job. It's one of the perks of being a donator. You can still be appointed, but it's probably unlikely. But the way that works is if you are a part of that faction, you can write for the newspaper, meaning there's an entity called the typewriter. When you press E on it, you get presented with a prompt where you can type a story, select the category. When you hit submit, people that have the newspaper item, which they can buy from a variety of NPCs and entities, can then hit view and view all the stories. Stories can be restaurant reviews, crime, economy, government, politics, anything. If that's what you meant. If you meant something else, then. We've found that the whole removal of the forms is kind of a given, considering the fact that forms are kind of redundant, especially in Mafia RP. So, we got rid of it. Next question asked by Trumpmeister. Is there going to be an initial tax bracket system set up specifically for LLCs? We don't really do in-depth taxes. We just do a occasional, you have to present your income, but the specifics for that are kind of blurry. But there will be tasks on certain, companies, organizations, people, so on, depending on laws that are put forth by the legislators and the executives. Next question asked by Turkman up at. This papers could be such a great addition, making a detective who did something like a big social local subject. That's already been answered. There is a whole newspaper system. Next question asked by Garlfilth, the Trap Master. How much will VIP be, and what will the perks of donating, and what will the model be? As I said earlier, it'll be $10 forever for premium membership. There may be other memberships, but that's really not certain right now. These give you small, minimal enhancements to roleplay just in a bulk. Discounts on vehicles, discounts on other items, perks of fishing, prop increases, character amount increases, inventory size increases, access to new content that's added. There's a lot that isn't really public information yet because it has not been coded. Next question asked by Stevie Gonzalez. We have a prison on the server separate from the PD? I couldn't find it during the beta. There is a prison in the basement of the PD, which is a massive prison with a variety of cells, a rec room, high-end cells. There's a lot to it. Defer to the development logs for more screenshots. Will prison RP be a thing, and if so, how long will sentences be? Yes, prison RP will be a thing. Sentences can range from forever to weeks to days to hours, dependent on the individual sentence. Next question asked by Angry Sad Man. I was a capo in the Valeros, and the Valeros have combined with the Stronati family. So does the Stronati family get the rackets, or so? No, we're not answering that question right now. If you have that question, ask Tom, server manager. He'll happily answer that. Anything specific to factions or your own kind of like inquiries, ask in support chat. Next question asked by Steve Gonzalez. Have you considered live streaming while you make the map? So you can get live feedback how it looks in people selling images of your map to the CIA, maybe. Not really. Be a hindrance on focus, and the map's like done. Just bug fixes and small additions need to be made before full release. Angry Johnny Man, is the server going to be out before June? Yes. Next question asked by Brandon. Will there be a whisper, normal, and yelling voice chat plugin? Possibly. I have looked into it, but it's not set in stone yet, so don't really know yet. Next question asked by Hendrix. How can we stop people from putting fake news or minging inside the New York Times newspaper? It will be overseen by staff members and trustworthy people, and it's already hard to get into as you have to be a donator, and yeah. But we'll see. It will be monitored. Will OOC chat be disabled due to intensive metagaming and other problems? Yes, OOC has been completely and utterly disabled with no point of return. Only usage by upper administration for things like telling people to cut the shit. LOOC will be a thing though to prevent, like, you know, what do you call it? If you have a problem with, let's say, you don't know what to do in RP, you know, LOC, you can fall back on that. Next question asked by Kurt. Will there be an EMS on the server, and if so, will there be a lot of medical RP, like having someone's life from PK attempt? There will be no EMS system at the start. We have considered it for going forward, but at the start, there will not be an EMS system. However, when you die, there's a whole medical system entwined with that, where there's conditions when you respawn. Those your bill when you respawn is contingent on your condition. And you can pay for healthcare, things like that. If you want a more in-depth thing, ask in support chat. Next question submitted by Turkman is, how will issuing tickets work? There's really no automated system for that as of yet. The next question submitted by Winberg. Can you elaborate on how prison RP will work? Will it be like Shawshank Redemption with jobs to do in the prison? Will people be able to smuggle things and sell, etc.? There will be things like an internal economy, probably. They'll be able to do things in prison, like play games. We may add tasks if there's time to do so. It's really uncertain as of now. It's kind of bottom on the priority list for remaining development. Next question submitted by Michelano, some Italian stuff. If faction have a couple of restaurants and each one is running fully in quality RP, will they get money for each restaurant? Yes, they will. As will any individual that purchases a restaurant. I'm getting a call from Slovenia. Oh boy. No. Alright, if anybody, we're going to move over to the voice Q&A for people that want to voice there, if they want to follow up a question that I didn't answer or something of the sort. Now is the time. So I will unmute people, go down the list. Alright, hold on a second. Alright, first we will start with Angry Hairy Man. If you have absolutely no question, just say pass. Yada, yada, yada. Have any question?
Nah.
Alright. Angry Trump Man, any questions?
Nah.
Alright. Bade has no rights. Brandon, have any question?
Will there be a limit to how much someone will have if it does not fit the time period?
Well, based on how people obtain money, I don't think we'll run into that issue. But if somebody amounts to a significant amount of money unrealistically, yes, the administration
Okay,
team will cop down on them. Anything else?
no, that's it.
All right. C4, any questions? Nope. Canadian Bacon, any questions?
Yeah, sure. As for personally as an administrator, I'm not going to join or partake in too many criminal activities per se. I'm going to have much more passive and involved civilian RP. And perhaps I'm looking forward to creating small time passive RP player events that people can um, participate in that aren't crime based. How much discretion do admins have based on giving out quote unquote rewards and other incentives to passive RP and
Um,
their control on that?
we've discussed, and I haven't really made this public information, but we have discussed an RP point system where admins can award these things called RP points, which can just basically turn into cash. So, yeah, I mean, that could be an incentive because money's great. Conversion rate's uncertain. It's kind of just an
Yeah,
idea, but we'll talk more about
other
that in
maybe not
staff
even
meetings.
solely cash, but items too. But yeah.
We could talk about that in staff meetings if you want. All right, moving on to cheers from Iraq. Any questions? That's a negative. Kurt, any questions? Guess not. Draxel, you got any questions?
I'm good.
All right. Elias, any questions?
Nope.
Guys, mute it. Festige, any question?
Will there be ERP allowed on the
Frog Boy, any question?
Nope.
God, any question?
Nope.
Hendrix, any questions?
Yeah, real quick question. It's a serious question, so don't meet me, okay? So basically, I had a question about the prisons. Basically, I heard some people say that ERP was allowed in the prison showers. Is this correct or no? Is this just a
That's a
false one?
joke, I think. I don't know if Tom wanted to do something like that, but I mean, I don't really care at that point. But hey man, I don't care about that. But in general, no, we're not going to allow it. Johnny Salami, any questions?
Yeah. Are you sure the server will be out by June?
Positive.
I don't want to be rude because
Oh, I know,
it's
no,
been a
no.
year.
Believe me, I'm well open to the criticism on dates. Like, I know it sucks.
That's
But I've gotten, like,
it's
the
okay.
map is finished, things like that, and I'm ready to wrap it up. I'm as eager to get it done as most of you are eager to play it. So,
All right,
yes,
thank you.
for sure. Johnny, any questions?
No.
Lateral, any questions?
Nope.
Very Italian name, Michelano, Fabrizio, whatever the hell. Any questions?
Yeah, let me know. Just in the beginning, you're gonna decide which faction gets what rocket, and then in RP they will be changing it, or from the beginning it will give into like some RP, I don't know, organization or something.
Yes, factions will be off the bat given certain rackets and territory and things of that sort, but it's subject to change contingent based on RP occurrences. Mitch, any questions?
No.
PhD Burnett, any questions?
No, sir.
Poob, any questions?
Absolutely none.
Ronnie Pastrami, any questions?
Are you sure the server will be up by June?
Positive. Steve Gonzalez, any questions?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so if I got two questions. Have you considered about like having a graveyard for us to put PK characters? Like, I know we could do this by just like getting fizz guns and just being like, "Hey, bada bing, here's my character text screen. Here lies Stevie Gonzalez." But like, have you considered adding a plugin where you can like when you're PK'd, you can type in the text and it'll just like materialize a gravestone?
I mean, we could look into it as a future edition, but I mean, yeah, it's definitely a possible thing.
Okay. I got a second question, and it's not a meme. It's not a meme.
Oh boy.
Okay, look. So basically, on Omerta, when we only had like basic Nux script, a big way for us to do like epic stuff was to have events. But now it seems like a lot of stuff is being automated, and and you can have interesting shit and function without needing those events. Like we don't need to have a Black Hudson rolls through town just for
A
somebody to do
single
the rack.
Black Hudson.
Yeah. So like I just want to know, are these events going to become more obsolete as we add more functions that are more automated, or are we still going to find a way to incorporate these because they're pretty fun, but it seems like they're not really that needed?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. They definitely will kind of become I wouldn't say extinct, but less frequent just because of how obsolete they kind of are. But no, they still definitely will be a thing. And because events can still incorporate a lot that automated features can't. Like, you know, police investigations of large size, you know, attacking boats that come in the port, things like that. So it's still a possibility, you know, but definitely not as much or less contingent.
Okay, I got a final question.
Yep.
So I heard about like gambling and stuff. Like people could have TVs where they could watch like basketball or baseball games. So like, what I'm theory, run a small gambling racket while watching a baseball game. Like if the Dodgers go to the World.
If the Dodgers go to the World Series, yes, that is possible. The professor, do you have any questions? No. Trumpmeister, have any questions?
No.
Triangle, any questions?
No.
Okay. Turkman, any questions?
No.
Vested, he's muted. Winberg, any questions?
Yeah, can you elaborate on how rackets will work?
Well, see, so basically factions can either set up their own rackets, like, you know, something through RP or something contingent on a general server feature, like, I don't know, hijacking delivery trucks or something of that sort. But, every official faction, meaning the faction that submits a application and is accepted, will be given an automated racket. A racket in which they can, make money off of an automated system. But it's still contingent on RP though. So like if it's a drug system and they need to make the drug, they'll be able to get the lab to make it, but they need the ingredient from another person. Pretty much.
Oh yeah, that's it.
All right. Woof. Anything? Any questions? No. Rock. Any questions?
Yes. Can autistic people become staff?
Very funny. Alright, is there anything... Any other questions that anybody wants to submit through question and answer? Like people that don't have mics, for instance. Alright, well I think that kind of concludes the meeting. Probably the shortest one we've ever had. So yeah. Thank you all for coming. If there's a part that you zoned out of, or if your friend wasn't able to attend or something of the sort, fear not, because they are more than welcome to watch the footage, which should now be on YouTube in a matter of a few minutes. Alright, thanks for sticking around, guys. Thanks for coming. Have a good night.
Okay, that was epic.